Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Rich Life with Sam and Diane. I am Samantha Hoffman, and I'm joined by Diane Bucci. This has been one hell of a week, has it not?
It has. It's been a crazy week for both of us. We've both got a lot going on in our lives right now, and we were just excited to actually have this time to talk to each other because we normally talk a lot during the week, and we've hardly talked, huh, Sam?
Who are you? I recognize that
Who
voice.
Are you?
I just feel completely beaten up, but there's always tomorrow. That's the thought anyway, is that there's always tomorrow, and sometimes there isn't, as we both know. But
exactly.
We talked all about that in in a past episode with my accident. But it's like I don't have a clue what's really going on with you and all of your shenanigans. Hopefully there's some that are rewarding and fun. And it can't all be hell. Please tell me that there's some goodness going on.
There is goodness going on. There is a lot of goodness going on. It's just been a crazy week, and I feel like I've had too many irons in the fire, and I know you've had a crazy week with, looking at houses to move to, and that's never fun. I guess it can be fun if it's like your first house, and yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
So I know.
I worked with a woman for a week and a half with this little house. It was too small. But anxiety, my type A, the Virgo, I'm Virgo Libra, as you know, right on the cusp. That's why I'm all powerful. That's why the universe responds so well to me. I yield quite a lot of power being born on the cusp. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. All it means is I'm always in turmoil. Isn't that what it means?
Inner turmoil.
I'm torn between always being the Virgo who's, wants everything to be precise, and the Libra who's like, yay, let's have fun. Let's just have a good time. But I was settling on a house, and I thought, well, the neighborhood was what made it. And the house was too small, so you think, okay, 2/3 will get put in storage. That's okay. We'll make it work. I liked the closure. See, I like closure, and I think women especially do, but I really do. And I thought, well, just knowing I have it locked in, and I was working with the woman, type A, I have the 1/4-inch grid sheet out with the room dimensions. I'm figuring out which furniture will go and what won't. I wake up on Tuesday morning to an email that she decided to sell the house and not rent it. She was hoping I'd buy it. She said, I'd love to sell it to you. Right. Well, I'm not in that period. I'm trying to get out of all of that in my life right now, and with some other thoughts for my future. And I thought, I just was devastated in the respect that I've wasted all this time, Diane.
On that one house, yeah.
On this one house.
And that's what happens. That's the most stressful thing, I think, in the world is looking for a house. It really is, because you and I are both the same in that we're kind of homebodies at times. We like our home, and it's hard to leave a home that has been your home, that you've loved, and you've got so many great memories in, and you start looking at these other places, and it's kind of like, it's like breaking up with your house and picking a new house, and you don't want to, and that's, it's hard.
That's a funny way of putting it, but there's a lot of truth in that, though. It's like I'm breaking up with my house. There's things I don't like about it, but things I do. So, you try when you're in the breakup, you focus on what you don't like, because that makes the breakup easier.
Right. That's what we do all the time. That's what we do with men, and that's what we do with houses.
Apparently. I haven't done it really with the house too often. I mean, the ones I've left were pretty, they unfolded in a certain way. One was very disruptive, but, in a moment of crazy chaos, I was just zeroed in at my target, and it was a different situation. But this one has been drawn out, as you know. It's been going on since we've known one another. And
right, over a year. Mm-hmm.
I know, isn't that crazy? And so then, as soon as that happened, I don't even have a cup of coffee in me. And I'm really not the best without my morning cup of coffee. I'm one of those, hair disheveled.
I'm one of those, too.
I kind of come out like the swamp monster, after the cup of coffee, talk to me. But like before that.
You look gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes, tell the world. Tell the world. We're gorgeous.
You do.
We're gorgeous and we know it.
You are.
Yeah, right. You're trying to build me up because you know I've been beaten down this week. But then, and I found 2 more places right away, and I thought, well, these actually look better. You know, the gods are smiling down on me. This is, look at that. One door closes, another opens. Well, it only took about 2 days for those other 2 doors to slam shut.
Right, and that's what's so frustrating. Yeah,
and
so
I
frustrating.
Just started thinking, am I damned? I mean, what am I doing here? The one, by the time he called me back, he said he has so many people interested. And where I live, I guess the market is, they're just hit hard with people wanting to rent. And so he took my name, okay, and number. And then the other one, though, oh, Diane, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Really?
It was downtown, and it had this look of like, they put work into it. So I had a little bit of the craftsman style architecture. Coloring was beautiful. A little high on the budget, but it was so many things worked out so well on it, you know, and I was talking with the owner, and they were going to have a showing of it just tonight. And earlier today, I get the email saying they're signing with somebody else, but if I still want to put my name in. And I thought, no.
Thank you.
No. Wouldn't you know, put my name in. I'm on so many lists that if all these other people were to, you know, completely fizzle out, I mean, my phone will be ringing off hook because I'm on that many lists at this point. And it's, and so I did allow myself to get a little excited about that one because I thought going from the home I'm in, I could get excited with that one. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And do you ever feel like if you accidentally show, and we've talked about this before, if you accidentally show excitement towards something, a relationship, let's say, sometimes, I mean, I know that's something that's entered my mind, but in life, things will happen, and you get so excited. You are stoked, and then that's when the rug gets pulled out from under you, and you almost wonder, I bet it's because I got excited.
Yeah,
I mean,
you almost feel like I got too excited. I got too excited, and I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up.
So then I need to live life without getting my hopes up.
But
and you know that's not how to live. You can't live life that way. That is not the way to live. No. But you as a protective measure, you say, yeah, I'm gonna be an ornery curmudgeon. I'm not gonna get my hopes up on anything. And then nothing will hurt me, nothing will disappoint me, and that's no way to live life. But let me tell you,
you'd just be kind of blasé. You'd be blasé all the time. Well, you know, when you were talking about homes, it reminded me of something that my daughter said when we were going through divorce. My ex-husband and I, it was almost like the kids had custody of the house, and we were both going back and forth because of our jobs. It's like first I moved out, and then he had to move, and then I moved back in, and then and one time my son Mikey said to Susie, "Are you going home tonight?" And she goes, "Which home?" And he goes, "Well, which home are you living in? Which home are you going to tonight?" And she goes, "Well, Mikey, home is wherever Mama is," and I still remember that. And so they called whatever house or apartment or condo that I was in, that's what they called home. And so I think, you know, mothers really do make the home a lot. You know, they really do. Not that fathers can't too, but when you're, you know, you've really spent a lot of time raising your kids, whichever parent that is, that's who the kids think of as home. You know, so home is really a state of mind rather than a place. But of course, as parents, we want that home, that house, to reflect our ideal of what home should look like. And it's hard. It's hard when you've been in a place for a long time and you love it, and you've got it decorated just the way you want it, and you've got your favorite little nooks and crannies to go to. It's hard when you start looking at these other places. And I'm big on smells. Either I love the smell of things or I hate it. And that's one thing I notice when I walk into a place. If I don't like the smell of it, I don't want to live there. And that's kind of funny, but it's maybe the new carpet or whatever they have in there. But if it has a funny smell, it just doesn't feel welcoming to me. So I guess my olfactory sense is really big. Yeah.
Yes, a funky odor, that's not a good thing. That's like, have you ever had one of those mysterious odors in your house? I mean, it's nothing that's there. It's not permanent. So it just appears. It's almost like an evil entity. It just shows up. It's this mysterious funked up odor. And all of a sudden you're walking around and you're like, do you smell that? Do you guys smell that? And you're like on the hunt. You are now a hound dog. Have you ever done that? Do you find whatever?
Yes. What is it? Is it something under the couch? Did the kids leave food somewhere?
And you get your nose down low.
Yeah. My
you start
ex-husband used to tell me, you're like a deer. Yeah, your nose is like a deer. Because I could walk into the house and go, there is a soured rag somewhere.
Exactly.
That sour
right.
smell. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And the minute I'd walk in the door, I could smell it. And I'd be hunting all over for the dish, rag that somebody had left.
God forbid you left the clothes in the wash too long. And they did sour, and you didn't realize it. You put them in the dryer, they're folded, they've been distributed to all parts of the house, and now one of them is on your body. And you are chasing down the smell that is following you because it is on you.
Because you're wearing it. That
suddenly
happens.
You look at yourself with suspect, and you're like, what is this? And you start smelling yourself. It's or it's in your car. At least that's more confined, but then again, you're kind of trapped in there. But I'm one of those, too, where I tend to need to find that smell, and I don't like it when people mask. They use all these air fresheners, and, you wonder, what's at the root of this? What's, because they're masking something. There's something going on.
I do like the smelling air freshener.
Yeah.
I like the warmers, the scent warmers, so it smells like, vanilla cookies or something. I like those the best. I like to watch.
Yeah, but then I want to eat cookies. Yeah.
Well, that's
you can't. Don't poke the bear. Don't make me want to eat the cookies by having the house smell like vanilla. But yes, I will find something. I have to. It's driving me batty. I see the stress on my daughter, especially because this new place that the new town we're going to, the middle school there, is large, where what they do is, versus where we are now, which is much, much smaller. It's split, east and west. And she wants to know which one she's going to. That's understandable. Where my son knows, the college, he's straightforward. He knows. And she feels like she's even in more limbo than almost anybody. And I feel for her, but it's like I don't know yet. I don't know. And one of the things that's like really standing in my way is that beautiful, beautiful white boxer of mine.
Oh, yeah.
That they look at that and they haven't a clue if she's destructive or not, and you can tell them. But, people lie. And unfortunately, because they've been bitten so many times, to be funny, bitten, but, they've been hit by dogs doing terrible things, and they were probably told it was the calmest dog in the world. And I don't blame them, but, at the other end, it is just terrible.
Right. You don't want to give up your pet. That's your pet.
No.
That's your part of the family.
Mm-hmm. She's been more faithful than my ex-husband. Both of my dogs
are good for that. Yes.
They don't lie. They always love me, even when I'm even when I'm in a pretty grumpy mood. And we did have a moment to talk briefly, and we said at least with all of these things going on in our life, all the upheaval, all the chaos, some things we feel good about and some things maybe we're not so happy about, but we are, for once, both happy with the men in our lives.
Yes, that is a miracle. Because ever since we met each other,
you're like,
I'm sitting here thinking, ever since we met each other, we were both in relationships, or I don't even know if you could call what we had relationships, but we were engaging in conversation with different men who really were not showing up for either one of us like we needed them to.
Right, they were long distance. They were long distance, so that was part of it, but yeah, they weren't like dating, see this person every other night, right,
not at all. And in fact, mine was not mine was lying to me because he had a girlfriend actually that he told me he didn't have, and so I had the deceit on top of the long distance thing, and so I'm clearly out of that now. And it's funny when you were talking about men and houses, how you just focus on the things that you don't like, and that's exactly what I did, to get over. And when you're trying to get over someone, it's really difficult if you still have all this affection for them. And I did find that if I would dwell on the things that I absolutely hated, and I don't respect anybody's character who lies. And he was deceiving two women, not just me, but her as well. And so to deceive two people who care about you is heinous, I think. It's just absolutely inexcusable. And I could never do that. And so I focused on that. And so that's definitely true,
And it shades them ugly, don't you believe? It makes them look ugly in your eyes.
Absolutely. Yes, it does. It makes them very unattractive. And when you just, sometimes you get those poignant memories and something reminds you of that person, all I had to do was go, okay, let's stop looking through the rose-colored memory glasses and let's look at the real person here. He's a big fat liar, cheater, whatever you want to call him, and I have no respect for him as a human being. And so that was, that's all I needed to let go, and so people who are struggling with relationships with somebody who's hurt them like that, who's cheated on them, lied to them, whatever it is they've done, just take a look at their character and look at what do you want in a partner. Is that the kind of character you want in your partner? And absolutely not. And people do that, they know that, and yet they'll still try to keep hanging on to somebody who has really proven themselves to be undeserving of your affection. And I guess I maybe I have too much pride and I think that I'm all that, but I really don't. But I think I deserve better. I know I deserve better because I give better. Yeah.
Everybody.
And so,
everybody deserves, but at least what they're doling out, and so to me, haters and liars, have someone just like you, that's what I say. You two, you pair up over there.
Right.
You deserve each other. And, so in that respect, but for those that aren't that way, we deserve better, and I don't know, there's no reason not to want that for yourself, and I'm not a liar. Nothing about that feels right to me. I don't feel good about myself.
I'm not a good liar. That's one thing.
Well, you get the funky nervous twitch in your eye. No, I'm just joking.
I don't know how people can live double lives like that because I just couldn't keep my stories straight. That's too much to remember. I've got too many things going on in my life anyway. There's no way I could try to keep two different men straight. It's just not going to happen. So I'm happy with one, and I'm happy that I met a man who is just as honest and direct as I am.
And so good.
Yeah, he's wonderful. So it can happen, but you have to let go of the wrong one before the right one will come to you. And you
had let go of the wrong one a while ago, though.
Yes, and then I kind of started serial dating. Yeah, we both did. And then you kind of have to kiss a few toes, you have to go through dating different people before you land on somebody who really fits you, and it doesn't just happen overnight, obviously. But, I've met some great friends. I mean, I've gone out with men who were not what I wanted in a romantic partner, but I made a great friend, and so I never look at dating different people as a waste of time, I mean, I just because there was no chemistry there doesn't mean that this person wasn't really valuable, to have in my life. And so people can't, they can't get frustrated just because they're dating and they haven't met the one yet. You've got to look at it as I'm going to make a new friend. And so if it works out to be a romantic friend, that's great. And if not, I've got a new friend. And, that's how I always kind of go into it. So there's not all these expectations. And then you get so disappointed. And, that's just part of dating.
So now how do you feel about your current beau?
Oh, I'm crazy about him. I am absolutely crazy about him. He's just endearing, just endearing. And I have so much respect for him. And that's, what I come back to. It's like his character is someone who, even if things didn't work out between us, I would absolutely have still so much respect for the man, and that's the kind of person that I want to be with, somebody who I will always respect, regardless of whether there's a romance there or not. So I just think he's a great, huge human being, the things, and I won't go into his personal private life, but he's got a full plate, and he is really showing up for everybody in his life as best as he can and as best as anybody could. So I'm just really impressed with him as a human being, and that just makes him all the more attractive to me. And he's already very attractive.
Well, good, and it's by watching people in their lives. It's because anyone can say anything. They can say they do this or they behave this way or behave that way.
Oh, yeah.
But you watch them, and if you watch them and you see how they interact with others, it's almost also it's how do they behave when no one's watching. Of course, you're kind of watching in a way, but when they're not on stage, the stage of life, when they're not. What do they do then? Do they talk this way about people, and then when you go back and you're in the car after leaving a party or you're back at the house, do they talk smack about other people? Do they, say terrible things? I mean, you can talk about people as far as, discussing them, even likes and dislikes, but how do they do it? And those things, I pay so much freaking attention to that stuff, to everything. I wish sometimes I had blinders on, but that is not my lot in life. So in those things, that's what keeps you. That's what keeps me there, I guess. And for the first time in a very long time, I'm finding myself in a situation where I want to be.
Right, so. and you're not going to second guess it anymore. You're finally said, okay, this is real. Which is hard for Sam. That was a big deal. So the inner tribe all kind of raised an eyebrow with that. It was, a big moment for me because all my life I think I've been dealt with uncertainty, and then unfortunately it seems like I do believe in some respects that you kind of resonate. You have your energy and it vibrates, and you kind of attract not necessarily what you're wanting, but what you're so used to, and because it's where you're at, vibrationally speaking. And so I grew up in a very uncertain, home life where there was a lot of disappointment, and I just brought that on throughout my life. I mean, I picked my partners. Nobody held a gun to my head, and my ex-husband was almost had a dual life in many ways, and so there was always that flip side. And what happened is he was a wild card, and I almost, and for a while now, did that. I projected that onto the man I'm dating now, and I don't believe he is. And that took a lot for me to say. We both have our good points and our challenges. Things that we do that are challenging, I'm sure. But I don't think he's a wild card. I think that's me. That's my issue to fix, and I'm working hard at fixing that, and on top of everything else I'm working on in my life. So I barely have hair on my head. I've probably pulled it all out by now. But, it was important. It was important in seeing that. It was a very big moment for me to say, this is you. This is you. In this one's not him. This is you. Give him a chance just to be him, and I think you might be surprised. And so far I have been. And I've been really pleased and proud of myself. Yes, I'm proud of you too, because you've got more fear than I have, just because.
Oh, you go boldly out there, fist in the air.
I absolutely am. Yeah, I'm courageous. No, I'm kidding. I am bold. I really am, because that's just how I haven't had the fear from childhood like you did. Yeah, I know you grew up in a house that was emotionally volatile. It's like you never knew from second to second what was going to happen. Where I didn't. I was Beaver Cleaver family, and so I didn't bring fear into any kind of adult relationships from my childhood. And my ex-husband is just as nice as he can be. We just didn't, work together as a couple. But I mean, I didn't have any bitterness or anything like that from him. So I'm not bringing a lot of fear in, Just because one man cheated on me, I'm not going to assume that all men are cheaters. I've only had that happen to me once in my life, and so that's how I am. But I don't have the experience of really feeling under the gun or under pressure, or really getting hurt as often as I think you have, and that definitely shapes us,
And it's interesting. No, go ahead.
Oh, I just started to say it's easy to be brave when you really haven't gotten knocked down that much, And I haven't, just because of one bad apple doesn't mean that I, walk away with no, ego or anything. I mean, I still had my pride intact, So it's just easier for me because I didn't grow up feeling uncertain,
And that's the thing, So mine was very much just the uncertainty. My parents were good people. But, in an alcoholic home, it's just a whole different dynamic. But now I actually haven't been cheated on a whole lot in my life with partners. That hasn't really been.
Right.
And I found out about my ex-husband's cheating after the fact. I mean, it wasn't that. Yeah, I didn't. Or it would have been done like that. And, that was always and so I didn't suffer any pain from of him cheating because I didn't know during the marriage. And I didn't have that kind of pain. I had the kind of pain of being attacked, your life, your livelihood, lied to, finding out just incredible, like, who are you kind of lies, and disgusting lies. And what it did is it kind of eroded any foundation, the surface, and you're standing on that surface. And so then you realize you're really not standing on anything, and then you begin to feel unstable again, and then that brings you back to where you were when you were 8 years old. But with my partner now, I never have, and I pray this doesn't turn the fate around and do something gnarly towards me, but I've never once believed he was cheating. And I don't feel that now, and I don't think that'll ever be something. So out of my concerns with him, it has never been about that. My concerns would be more, I don't even know how to articulate it. It would definitely be, if someone says something so wonderful to you on Monday, but you grew up realizing that what was said on Monday may not be true on Wednesday, and this person has no reason to have to say it over and over again because that's not what it's about. They don't need to do that. But something in my deeper psyche says I needed to hear it again because I'm not so sure now. That's my problem.
Right.
And the reality is
right.
And it's not because I'm a needy person as a whole, because I'm not. I'm very independent. It's something when you dig into the deeper psyche, you start to realize, he's feeling just constant and steady, and he's, he has his own concerns, of course, and we've discussed those over the weekend, which was nice, but, or we touched on them anyway, and so, but it was like, okay, this is me, just because my parents, we didn't even plan for vacation, Diane. We were plucked out of bed, ready to go. We're off, and this is vacation. And the vacations were turbulent, and there was always the other shoe was always going to drop. There we go. Now I'm going to get it. The other shoe always did drop, and so I grew up with a little bit of a tight chest. Your breath's kind of suspended because you don't know. You're always in constant preparation, and something in truly enjoying this man. And there's something about him getting into my heart, which is into your deeper self. That's where that child is. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. So then I don't give myself to him. And see, that's where my problem was. And that, I wasn't fully enjoying the relationship because I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. I don't want the shoe to drop, but something about him is piquing that inner child in me that never fully healed. And I realized, well, that's not him, though. It's a good thing on his part because he's digging deep into your heart. You really love this guy. This is a good thing. But that little kid says, yeah, but.
Right.
That's scary, Mom. Yeah. So Sam's doing some healing. Sam's doing a lot of introspection, and as always, it's part of what I do for a living. But, yeah, very big stuff. Hey, that really sounds profound, don't you think?
I think so. I think you're moving right along. A year from now you look back and go, wow, look at all the upheaval, but I also had something really great come out of it. And that's what we always do,
You need it, don't you? You need to have, I suppose, that something about your world being kind of turned upside down makes you, what did you say before? It jiggles everything loose. It jiggles everything loose, and you have to look at it. There's something like that. And that was a good way of putting it.
But it has to have the chaos. Yeah.
You
chaos before change. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how often.
Change is good.
Yeah, let's hope my change is all good and yours too. And it's a big thing to say to a man, you know what, I don't want to get married right now because my life's too much of a mess. Because it's like I need to get all this cleaned up. If that is out there in our future, and whether it is or it's not isn't really the point so much as I need to, put all the pieces back together. They're being looked at, and I'm tired of looking at them. But let's put it all back together. And let's hope I'm not living in a camper. No. Yes,
yeah, you won't be. To feel settled, and then you can move forward with your personal life, and that's so important, I think, for men and women, that you feel settled as far as your home situation is concerned, because it's very hard to try to move a relationship forward when you don't feel settled with your living situation. So that's just being smart, to wait till you're settled to make any kind of plans, decisions, any of that kind of stuff. I think it's just especially for women, we seem to tie everything together, and if we feel upheaval in one area of our life, we feel upheaval in another. And so just to kind of get your ducks in a row with yourself as an individual, then you can be that settled partner for him. And so I completely agree with you. I'm the same way. It's just you don't feel like you're really going to be a healthy or a whole partner to somebody when you feel like your life is in chaos. But it's funny how quickly the chaos settles, because you'll feel like one day, oh my gosh, I got all this stuff going on, and then, a week away, you'll feel settled. And it's like, okay, I'm in my routine all of a sudden. You'll get moved, and boom, you'll be moved. You'll be in this new place, and you'll know where you're going to live. You'll know where your daughter's going to school, and all of a sudden you're settled. And it's just getting there. But then once you're there, you look back and it's like, wow, that only took a couple of weeks or something, So sometimes these obstacles seem so big to us, but we just muddle through them, and then all of a sudden we're on the other side of the door, and we're on the other side of change, and then we can start looking ahead and saying, okay, I feel settled in my career or my, living situation, whatever, and I can start giving my all to this relationship. And so I think that's great, and I think that's great that you're both on the same page with that, so there was nobody upset.
Yeah, because you wonder how that's going to come across. But actually, I think he liked hearing it. He's a very responsible person, and I am too. And so, we both married people that were not in our past. And so you get those concerns too. Is this really a very irresponsible, liar, terrible person in a very cute package or responsible package or whatever the case may be, because so many people do that. It's scarred so many people, and so when you're honest, I heard something, and it's true. I believe it's very, very true. We should never assume anything. We should always be brave enough to ask. And I think you do have to just put things out there in a very kind, respectful, whatever way. And so I did. And instead of dancing around it, and I think he really liked knowing that I'm that organized. I'm very, find house in the month of May, move in June. This is how I have it in my head. It's not that I'm the most rigid person in the world, but I like a little bit of order. And now that we're getting to the end of May, of course, the wine's going down pretty fast. No, I'm not. Every night.
Get a little nervous there. A little anxiety happening.
A little anxiety. But but I like that. I like when people can do that. And so I think it made him feel good to know that that's how I'm doing this big life change. It's not just willy-nilly, and where some people would be. And they could, not that willy-nilly doesn't work, but it doesn't work for me. And so, it seems to be going pretty good. And I'm happy about that. And I will be on the other side of this little chaotic moment with the house move. I will, yeah. It'll happen.
You will be. It will be soon. By the middle of summer, you're going to be settled,
one would think.
Oh, you will. You will.
I'll be on your sofa.
Be, registering. Yeah, there you go. You know, you're always welcome.
And you're welcome wherever I am, even if it's a box.
But it'll be good. I mean, really, it's springtime right now. Just think in the summertime, you're going to be settled, and then you can pick on back up with everything else in your life. Moving's just hard. Moving's very hard. And I hate moving, and I've moved so many times in the last 11 years. It's just, I should be a professional mover, but it's just hard, and it's tiring. And, you know, I'm all for the movers and packers. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, you know, and two things, though. Is one, I've noticed since I've had that epiphany within myself, and I shared a great deal of it with Matthew, my partner, and then we've had our talks. We've actually almost gotten closer from all of that. You know, it's to say that, you know, it'll pick back up. It's actually to me just at the perfect rate right now. It's even a little bit more than it was, and so that's, I think, maybe because we both feel more comfortable. And the other thing I wanted to say is there's something glorious to be said about just filling trash bags full of stuff that you don't want anymore.
Getting rid of it, yeah. Yeah.
Just saying, nope, don't need it. Yeah. Nope, don't need it. I don't need it. That's kind of good. I like that part of the movie.
That's good. That's the only thing that moving does. It makes you get rid of stuff that you've been holding on to that really serve no purpose anymore, and so it does. It forces you to deep clean and really pitch stuff that you've just been holding on to, like, you know, butter dishes. I don't know why I will take, you know, the margarine tubs. I'll use them as Tupperware, you know, and I'll have, you know, 30 of them under my under my cabinet going, do I need all these country crock tubs? Do I even have lids for them?
You know, it's funny
that the Tupperware lids always fly away. You know, I always buy all this nice Tupperware or Rubbermaid and everything, and I lose the lids. And yet I have lids that don't fit any bowl that I have. So I've got these non-matching lids and then these non-matching bowls. How does that happen?
Well, you know what would be funny to do, though, is take some of your lids, okay, and the next time you're at someone's house, you know, they excuse themselves. Go into wherever their cupboards, their pantry, their Tupperware containers are. Grab some of theirs and put some of your odd-shaped ones in there and just completely mess with the poor people, because they'll be all of a sudden, what's this lid? I haven't seen this lid before. And they will go with it, though, because everybody has those two lids that goes with nothing.
Right, and yet you don't want to throw them away because they look like good lids, and you know there must be an expensive Tupperware dish flying around somewhere. Yes.
Where did it go? No, I know. It's the craziest thing, because we feel almost like as soon as we get rid of it, by George, that container will show up without its lid, which would never be used without its lid. So it makes no sense.
That's the thing with Tupperware. Yes.
But what's important, and I think someone said this, everybody should have to move every so many years because of the purging that you're doing. And I really believe that, because when people pass away, generally their children or close family members have to come in and dig through all of that.
Yes, it's horrible. I've had to do that. Yes, and it's horrible. It really is. And things that they should have thrown away, then we end up throwing away. Or we feel like, well, gee, great aunt so-and-so saved this for 50 years, so I should save it. And then you're sitting there going, well, what am I ever going to do with this, you know? But yet it's like, just because she didn't want to throw away a piece of plastic, you know, then you feel like, I can't throw this plastic away. She held on to it all of her life. Well, that's just because she never had to move. She never had to get rid of that lid that doesn't match anything.
You know, and then you go from thinking you were great aunt whomever or whatever was sane and fun and had their crap together, until you stumble across her 50 country crock tubs, and you're like, she was obsessed. She was like me.
That's where I got it from. She likes the country crock tub too.
We emptied a house before, and my parents were given a house in Florida, a little home, and it was my uncle's, and that's what happened. We went through everything, and that man saved every container known to man. I mean,
really?
And so save your children, people, and clean your house now. Act like you're moving. Match your lid.
Non-matching Tupperware bowls and lids. They'll never find a home. They will never find their mate, so just throw them away.
That is the funniest thing because you know how many people try to jam the wrong lid onto a container because we feel like, by God, we have to use it. It's here. It has to fit at some point.
At some point. Well, and I always wonder, did they warp? Did they shrink in the dishwasher? Is that why this lid doesn't fit anything that I own? I don't know. I don't know what happened to it.
But you don't part with it, do you?
Oh, no, I hold on to them because I know that bowl's going to turn up for that lid. I got a lot of those lids.
And now people are keeping the, what is it, who makes them, like Ziploc or somebody makes a kind of a disposable variety of the, and now people are keeping those.
Yeah, I got those too. Oh, absolutely, I got those.
And even the ones that are color stained. You know, you got to keep the ones that are color stained from the tomato sauce.
From the spaghetti sauce, always. There's that orange ring around them that will never come clean.
You rub it with your thumb, but then you realize it won't come off.
No. It's sad but true. But yeah, we say those too. Because you think, okay, I bought, 3 of these for $2. I'm going to get my money's worth out of them.
But now, have you gotten to the point, and I think we joked about this before, and on this funny note today is, are you at this stage, and I think it has to do with age, but maybe not because I've been doing it for quite a while, where you eye a box and you notice this is a good box and you don't want to throw it away because you might need that box down the line? You don't do that one?
Especially for moving.
Well, now I'm happy that I've been such a hoarder of boxes because, but kids, they'll toss the box away. When you're young, you don't care. You just rip stuff out. As soon as you get to a certain point, I think, with age, all of a sudden you're like, this is a damn good box.
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm going to need this someday, and I'm going to be sad if I throw it away.
Yeah, that's a good, one day we're going to need a box. This is a good box.
True. Yeah. Well, you have to buy them at the packing store, so you might as well choose a good box.
Yeah, so my garage is full of them. So my moving trip will be just all these teeny little boxes, perfectly shaped little boxes. They'll be easy to move. A whole lot of trips, but not that heavy.
Yeah.
But
no, they'll be lightweight boxes. Yeah, like gifts, like presents.
Yeah, perfect for
presents when you get there. I always use the big plastic bins.
The big. Well, I have quite a few of those. In fact, I have some that are so big that God forbid you fill them with something, you really can't lift them.
You can't lift it. Yeah,
so you have to put like blankets or something in it. But I found some of those in the storage earlier. Any big plans for Memorial Day?
Not so far. I guess we will see. I don't have anything exciting planned. How about you?
Well, I was invited. The kids and I are invited to meet up with Matthew and his children for camping on Saturday. So we're going to just relax by a campfire. And, that sounds so good to me. Just get out of my environment and what I'm doing. And so we're going to play around for the weekend. But the Monday, I don't have anything planned as of yet. But at least the weather's improving. How is it out there?
Oh, it's warm and sunny today in Denver, so it's definitely nice. It's windy, too, but the sun is out, and it's definitely going to turn into summer here soon, The pollen's in the air to make my eyes itch, and that's all I know.
Yeah, that's all you know. And we've been talking about getting our show where we have video included with our show for people to finally see. So we've had some pictures of us added to the promo shot that runs when the show runs, and then we've been talking about getting our faces, me usually drinking wine, I suppose, while the show is on.
Anyway, my decaf coffee.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we got to wrap it up. I think we're at the end of our show, and this has been fun. It's been great talking to you, my friend.
Yeah, we got to catch up from this week. Well, we hope everyone has a beautiful Memorial Day weekend themselves. Yes. Hopefully they will get out and do something fun.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.